Welcome, I'm Mia Pearlman, Vice President of the LPA. I'm joined here today by three fantastic guests, all within the realm of the video, marketing, social media plethora. And we will start with you, Darren. Tell us.
Yeah, hi Mia. Yeah, I'm Darren Simons, ex-TV presenter and now COO of Cloud9 Spain.
Fantastic.
I'm Sean Woolley, Managing Director of Cloud9 Spain.
I'm Alfredo Bloyd-Dawson, a marketing consultant.
Fantastic. So I have you three here today, all experts in this field. I'm at the other end of the scale. I can barely make a post. I don't have Facebook. So Darren, video is obviously a huge important part of the social media marketing right now in the property industry. Could you give us, in your opinion, the three top tips that you would use as a TV presenter to make your video go viral?
Well, I think it's really important. I mean, going back to it, a lot of real estate companies now are embracing video because it's such a visual thing. And I think that it's important to showcase as much as you can in a short space of time, if that makes any sense. And I think people's attention spans are very, very brief now. And I think video on social media, if it's done the right way, it's done correctly, then it will really pick up a following and some likes. That's exactly what we need. And I think that if you can be creative and clever with video, I think some of the tips that I could probably offer is that if you can present and do a proper, what I'd say, a walkthrough of the video, like a virtual tour of viewing, and it's presenter-led with the features, the benefits, lifestyling, all of that mixed in, then I think you're ticking a lot of the boxes so that the person watching it, if it is via social media on the platforms, then they're going to get a full understanding very, very quickly of what the property is all about.
I sometimes feel like I'm that customer, even though obviously I own a property company. I sometimes look at these videos because I'm on the other end of the spectrum to you guys, you know, where I don't make a post, I don't present a video. I have presented one and, you know, it was fun. It was fun, but it was very time consuming. So for me, I find that when I'm watching something, if I'm not within the first 3 seconds grabbed, I'm kind of out. So would you say scripted, unscripted, what's working?
Well, I think ultimately you've got to be as natural as possible. You've got to be as genuine as possible. And you're quite right. 3 seconds now is that attention span to hook somebody in. You know, it used to be about 10 years ago. It was like, right, you've got 7 seconds to make the first impression. Now, because of our habits, we're swiping. We're looking at stories all the time. And I'm doing that. I'm thinking, hang on, I'm not even looking. And then something will grab my attention. So yeah, you're right. You've got about 3 seconds, or even social media, probably 1.5 seconds to actually hook somebody in. So visuals have got to be right. You've got to communicate in the very first few seconds. Visually, it's got to look great, but it's got to tell the story as well. And this is where I think you guys come in as well. We're doing it so well.
Yeah, I mean, Sean, you've done so many podcasts. You're such a natural. I mean, I feel nervous when I'm up against you. We do one back to back with each other, and you are just so fluid when you do it. What do you find works?
The thing is, I was really nervous when I started, and I think we started just before COVID, because I'd started doing a football one with some mates of mine.
Yeah.
And you know, when you're a football fan, you've always got an opinion on things, and so it's just like chatting with your friends, to be honest with you. And I think, you know, everybody's trying to do video now because they realize the value of it. And some people just can't do it. And I'm not saying I'm any great shakes. I'm not compared to someone like Darren. But I think I'm a firm believer, if you're not very good at it, just don't bother. Because, you know, it's...
Actually, that is true. It's true.
But I think you know, you look great, you sound great, you're a great ambassador for your company, you're hardworking. So I have always thought, where's Mia?
I've been hidden.
But is that because of your...
Yeah, I like to be purposefully hidden. And I know if I've got my friends watching this, they're laughing because obviously I'm quite a character when I'm with my friends and, you know, but actually in business, I like to be under a rock, head down, just get the job done.
Okay.
But I realise now the world is changing, and that's, unfortunately, it would have been better if I'd realised this a few years ago. Now there's a few more wrinkles, but it's probably more helpful to be a face and a brand, because it definitely becomes more trustworthy if you can see the person behind it. I actually won't buy from somebody if I can't go on their About Us page and find them. Then I'm already thinking negatively.
We noticed this in COVID. COVID was when we really started using video, and my God, we were so amateurish, and what we did was, looking back, was quite appalling, really. But we just had to do it because we couldn't meet our clients. Alfredo, don't stop. No, but we couldn't meet our clients. How else were we supposed to communicate with them? Zoom was great, of course. But when they said, Sean, can you go and do a video of that property in Zagaleta? It was like, oh, and you used to have to go out with your little iPhone and your gimbal and do a 5-minute video. And that's how people were buying. And if you didn't do it, somebody else would do it. So we found that that was the only way we could communicate with our audience during that time. And I think it just grew from there.
Yeah. I mean, Alfredo, you obviously see all of the agents because in some form or another, you've worked with them on different aspects of their social media. Is there anybody that's hugely successful against somebody that's not, but they're doing the same thing, but they're doing it differently? And for that
If they're doing the same thing, then no, they're both successful.
they're both. And what is that?
But the part you see, which is the finished product, is maybe half the job.
Right.
And so the ones that the thing that distinguishes the successful ones from the unsuccessful ones, my observation, are the ones that understand that once you produce the content, you have to deliver it to your audience.
Right.
They're not going to come and find it. This idea of viral videos and stuff like that, it's probably the biggest problem for agencies because you're conditioned to believe you got to have 1 million views or it's a failure.
Right. Yeah,
but if you've got 50 potential buyers in a room, you'd see that as a success. But 50 views in a video is a failure.
Yeah.
So the biggest difference between success and failure that I've observed are the agencies that have a very consistent way of delivering the content to the audiences that they already have post-production.
Yeah.
There's no shortage of agencies with really well-produced videos that should do well.
Yeah.
But they're comparing themselves against, in our industry, against one or two Drumelia, let's say it as it is, right?
Yeah.
So you see there 190,000 followers, subscribers on YouTube, and a video with 1 million views for Willa Quillinan, that becomes the benchmark. And that's just not reality. That's just not how this market works. We're not talking to millions of people. It's a very niche thing, really. And so I would say that would be the biggest difference between a video. There's so many agents right now going, I don't understand why we have 56 views on our video. We spent 3,000-4,000 euros producing it. It took weeks. We put it on YouTube and
It's gone
tumbleweed.
nowhere. Yeah.
And it's because they don't have a process to deliver the content to the audiences.
Yeah.
It's very hard to measure, isn't it? Because if one of those 56 people then inquires and then they end up buying that property, then it's been hugely successful form of marketing, isn't it? But you're right, the numbers can skew things. We all look at these amazing agencies and go, how many followers and how many views? And I know that a target of one of those companies was to have a million followers. There aren't 1 million people in the world that want to buy property on the Costa del Sol.
And actually, are they looking at that particular time? Yeah. Are they just on it? Did they buy last year? Did they, The
other big thing that really messes with people's heads and with agents' heads is this idea that our audience are our friends and ourselves.
Right.
And by that, I mean, you said it a minute ago, you won't look past, it's this 3-second thing that we're talking about. Put yourself in a position where you're about to buy a villa in Barbados. You'll give it more than 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Right. So the further up the funnel it is, the further, would it be nice to live in Spain? Property porn. The less attention you have. And the further down the funnel, the smaller the number, which Sean was just explaining, and the more attention you have. And they're actually your core audience. And a real easy rule of thumb to see whether you're really doing something that's of value is, would your team use that video to send it to their contacts during a Monday to Friday period?
Yeah.
At some point, is your team saying, check out this video, we did this area guide, or we did this other thing, or this explains the taxes, or whatever it is. So really the counterintuitive thing is that the more boring it is, the more useful it is. But everybody around us tells us that's not good.
Yeah.
Everybody around us, your
That's
partner,
true.
your friends, the people in the pub, there's a pressure to make it short, make it fun. Because you've got 3 elements. You've got entertainment, inspiration, informative. They're the 3 elements that we're playing with. So, of course, you can combine them. But if all you have is entertainment, you're entertaining. And
you're not grabbing your lead, are you?
Yeah, because we started doing these, what we call our carpools. And we took it from James Corden's thing, in LA. And we just, I think it was me and you that started it off, wasn't it? And we just went around touring around the Costa del Sol, just talking about the different areas. Yeah, in a car. And we did it in a really honest way. Like we did one about Elveria and we pointed out the sewage plants and stuff like that, which of course agents don't normally do because it doesn't exist, of course. Well, of course it does. So, and we found that the people who watched that video particularly, probably wasn't a huge number. As Alfredo says, it might be 100 people. But those 100 people found it invaluable. I wouldn't watch it. Boring as hell. I know Elveria. But the people that
Yeah.
didn't know or wanted to know more found that half hour absolutely invaluable. And that's when you realize, okay, I'm not doing it for the agents. I'm not doing it for myself. I'm doing it for that quite small number.
And actually, more importantly, our stats show that some of that audience have actually bought with us at Cloud9, so it has worked. But I think there's two types of audience. Like what we said earlier on the start, you've got the entertainment audience that are looking for the quick fix. Right, I'm going to stop there. Look at that lovely property, fantastic. No intention of buying it, but it looks really good.
Yeah.
Or maybe it might be a dream in the future. Or the long form video that we've done, we've done our breakfast clubs, the carpools. Some people have said, locally that are in the area, well, I saw your video the other day and, why is it so long? It's quite boring. But to the right people, that works. And I know because whenever I go on a holiday, I look at these travel vloggers on YouTube. And I was watching the other night, I was looking at some places to go. Not that I've ever got any time to go on holiday now because just working all the time. Cheers, Sean, for that. Yeah. But I spent 21 minutes looking at this video of this hotel and a complex, and I think that's 21 minutes of my time. Now that isn't your 3-second swiping. It's a very, very different mindset. So that audience for YouTube, that audience for buying property, that audience for entertainment, all has its own little areas. But ultimately, if you are pushing the video on a social platform, it's got to hit the ground running straight away.
Yeah.
But YouTube's slightly different.
YouTube is slightly different. I mean, we do YouTube videos and we do them 90 seconds. And I say, please don't go over. I've got a lot to say about it. I just can't action any of it. But I said, don't go over 90 seconds because you can show, you can walk through a house pretty quickly. I did a record tour the other day, and I don't take clients, as you guys know, but I took these very, very special clients, and I showed 18 properties and plots in La Zagaleta. Right. And I don't think that's ever been done, but I did it and the clients were ready. I was ready. I had all the vendors ready. I said, we are doing 3-minute walkarounds and we will come back to you, but we have only got a certain amount of time they need to be out of here. And I don't want to miss your house out. And I ran around after them with the phone to record the house. Some of these houses were 2,000 square meters. They ran in, ran out. At the end of the day, I had all the videos of the plots and the villas, sent them through, and that is all they needed to refresh their mind. And, once upon a time, I would have left an hour for that viewing, for each house. But people don't have the time anymore. People don't want the time. They want to look at something very quickly. They'll go back on a video or they'll video it themselves. And that seems to be enough for somebody to spend hundreds of thousands, millions of euros.
I think video has taken over the role of the first viewing in a lot of cases.
I agree.
Even you say, we'll work with the client over the phone, on Zoom, whatever, and we'll narrow it down to maybe 5 properties, something like that, in an area that they like and know. And they'll then say, can you just go and do us a quick video? We'll do video of the 5 properties, send it over, and they will then, maybe sometimes they buy one of them just off that, or they'll say, right, we're coming over next week. Can you shortlist to 2?
They'll book the flight.
And we found during COVID, certainly coming out of COVID, we were using video as first viewings.
Yeah.
So it actually saved us a lot of time.
Yeah.
Because when they were actually coming out, they were further down the sales funnel.
Yes.
Yeah. We found that video, VT, we called it, the virtual tour, really took off in COVID. And we've kept it going because clients want it.
Yeah.
And you really, if you're videoing with all the camera equipment we've got here, so it's very professional, right? Yeah. And it's the business. But sometimes if you're going in with your mobile phone and you're walking around, it's a little bit shaky and you're hitting the corners of maybe there's a little bit of damp down there and you're going up here. That's such a real video, isn't it? Yeah. You have not scripted, structured it, nothing. You've gone in blind and that camera is not lying. Or does the camera lie? I don't know.
Well, it can lie, but actually, I think the first instance is to get the client hooked in. I mean, we had an American client, Sean, didn't we, last year, who, bought into the channel, bought into us. We then managed to find him a property from a video, and then we took another video in there and did a more close up. So it was more or less like a secondary, right? Let's show you the warts now. We've seen the nice sort of polished brochure version, but let's go around in more detail and we'll do a live video tour or a pre-record, and that really works as well. So it really takes the next level. And sometimes, unfortunately, it might not work out. And they go, well, actually, I don't like it now. I'll have something else.
I think if you can combine the natural element of who you are, and how you do it with some degree of professionalism. Because I think if you do go in with a wobbly iPhone, no gimbal, and it's not on widescreen setting, and it's dark, and you could lose that sale because of that. So I think if you can combine your own qualities with some degree of professionalism, then you've got a great chance of giving the client exactly what they want. You're not lying, you're not hiding anything, but you're doing it in a way that reassures them, I think.
And do you think, Alfredo, you may be able to answer this, do you think you have to have a presenter when you do these videos? Or can you just go in with the phone switched that way or a camera switched that way and talk behind it? What's more appealing to the buyer?
If the presenter is good with the presenter, it depends on the presenter. It depends on the presenter. It depends what they're saying.
Yeah.
If they're repeating what it says on what's obvious.
Kitchen, bathroom.
Yeah.
Here's a kitchen. Yeah, well, you can see that. That's great.
Like,
Yeah, okay,
yeah.
good.
Yeah. So it depends. You know, truthfully, it just depends.
But what do people want to hear? What is it that they want to know?
I mean, I think in terms of, it depends how farther down the funnel they are. I go back to that.
Yeah.
They're looking to buy.
Yeah.
They want the boring stuff as well as the fun stuff. If they're just sort of having a little sense of what kind of thing could I get, then it's much more fluffy. So, but I think it depends on the presenter, and it depends on how good they are. They're telling you something that you can't know. There's no point in saying, "And here we have a table." But if you say this was made out of, you know, Abraham Lincoln's, you know, casket or something, you can't tell that from. You can't, right?
All in, great table.
I don't know.
Sorry,
You can't tell that from the thing.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
if you're adding to it versus subtracting, I don't think people should do it just because other people do it. And I think that applies to all video.
Yeah.
I think everybody should try and do it, but I don't think everybody has to do
But we
it.
have seen some shockers, haven't we? We've seen some people who are just...
Yeah, but also overproduction as well. You know, I've seen videos where the presenter might be quite good, you know, so, oh, this is good. But then the camera guy, and this is down to the production value, is taking a video of the guys or the girls' feet as they walk down the pathway. It's like...
artistic for the sake
it's artistic. We don't really need to
Yeah.
see the feet of a presenter walking slow motion or
yeah,
putting the
yeah.
jacket over the
Yeah.
shoulder. To me, that is overproduction. It takes the realness away, and then we go into that sort of. It doesn't always click well with the viewer. You know?
I think there's two things that I've learned a hell of a lot in the last 4 or 5 years. One is that you can very easily become self-indulgent
Right.
because you think, I know, let's do this and let's make it bigger and better and shinier and let's do something really funny. And actually, what people want to see is what you're doing already.
Yeah.
And I think having someone like Alfredo, for instance, is great for me because he'll just say to me, "No, you're not doing it."
Yeah, what are you doing that
Yeah,
for?
yeah.
What?
Because we do, as estate agents, we do have some crazy ideas, don't we? You know, we think, well, let's.
Yeah, we're really clever people. Of
Oh
course we do.
And also, I think the use of video allows you to define your tribe
Yeah.
without you necessarily knowing it. So, for instance, we looked at the videos that people like Dramelia do, and they're amazing. You know,
Yes, yeah.
the jet skis, the helicopters,
Boats,
but that's not us.
Yeah.
And we could do that. We could spend a fortune on trying to match them in terms of quality.
See you on a jet ski in your speedos.
Excuse me, there might be a captive audience for that. So we decided, we can't compete with that. And also, that's not us. So when you come to Spain and meet us, you're going to be sorely disappointed because there'll be no jet ski, no helicopter. And so we decided to just keep it real. And I think that's what we've become known for is we show it warts and all. We've kept it very real and honest. But that also means that the clients that you get from video tend to be similar.
Yeah.
They're not expecting the high life.
yeah.
They might have pots of money,
Yeah.
but they actually like to keep it real.
Yeah.
I think keeping it real has been the success of, I think, certainly Cloud9 and working with Alfredo as well. What we've done, though, we've upped the quality of the production, but we've kept it real.
Yeah.
So we now have, for example, a TV studio. We have, Alfredo and his team doing a great job as well. And it was just enhancing the quality. So actually, the viewer's still seeing real people, but the quality is exceptional. And I think that's what you need to get the balance right. If you haven't got one of those elements, then the whole thing doesn't work,
And the biggest surprise of all is the fact that I think we've recorded 600 videos now. And when you're doing them, you have no idea who's watching them. You've got 60,000 followers or something like that, but you actually have no idea who they are, really. So you're just doing stuff like this. It's going out there, and then you get nothing. And then all of a sudden, 6 months later, a guy will phone you or email you and say, "Hi, I'm John from London. I've been watching your videos for the last 2 years. How's the new house? How's your partner?" And you're like, Jesus, this guy knows everything about me.
Wow.
Because he's been watching all the videos.
God, my biggest nightmare.
Yeah. But you don't realise. I met a woman in Montemay the other week who said, "I've watched all of your videos. I even took up a couple of your restaurant recommendations. I was like, did I give restaurant recommendations?
Yeah.
So these people are watching, but you don't realize it. But they feel, when they make contact with you, they feel they know you. So the rapport is kind of done from one side. I don't know who the heck they are.
Yes, right.
But they know me. They've decided that for some reason, they like me and what I do. So they've bought in. And you've built that rapport purely on video, which is incredible. And I'm sure some people look at our videos and go, whoa, I wouldn't touch them. But the people who do buy into you become really super strong clients.
Yeah. And that's fascinating. So you do actually make sales from these type of social media posts and things like that, and you know that those clients have come through an Instagram, a video, of
it is. But like Sean said, you have to build the rapport with the person who's watching, and when they feel that they can trust you. And I think, Alfredo, you're a big believer in this as well, aren't you? You know, the success of video first. It's down to obviously the production and how you build that connection, and people will buy from people, and if they are your tribe, they trust you. And again, they might not buy immediately, but we've seen some amazing results where we've sold property from the power of video, and it's not just once or twice being lucky. This has happened time and time again, which we're really proud of. It's really worked well.
We've sold a lot of property from video, from walking around a property, and like I said, we still do it now. We love it, and it works really well for us. If I flip that to the Instagram page, and I think there's about 12,000 followers, honestly, I don't think we've sold a single thing from that. And that seems to be as much of a job for our Instagram girl as it is for the team when they walk around with a camera. But this side seemed to have a lot of success, and the Instagram for me, I don't get it. But maybe I
can't stand Instagram.
Right.
I call me old-fashioned. And
Old-fashioned.
Alfredo and I have this debate. I like a bit of YouTube, and I think also with YouTube, a lot of Americans search on YouTube, and YouTube is the second biggest search engine in the world.
Yeah, it's not. So don't think of it as a social media network. It's a search.
It's a channel.
It's Google, but on video.
But I love a bit of Facebook because I'm old and gnarly. So, I like a bit of Facebook. But Instagram, it's kind of like, just pretty pictures.
Yeah.
And I've always thought of Instagram and bloody TikTok and all this now. It's a young person's game, and the young people don't necessarily... they're not necessarily in our client group, maybe.
But is that true? Because I think the buyer's getting younger and younger.
It's not true, but that's the perception of older people.
Yeah. Sorry, no, I agree.
Including yourself, Mia. Yeah.
I mean,
no. Do you know what? I've been trying to now from my background. What Instagram is, I think, is a platform that you've got to have. You've got to have that for visuals, brand awareness, and the fact is, you might not sell as much for it. You might do, but what we're seeing, the new generation of buyers now, for example, we had a client last year who was a very, very successful Instagrammer, YouTuber. He's got 27 million followers, subscribers and all that. Very, very influential. He's using these platforms, and he wouldn't have come to us had we not have had that presence.
Of course, you've
got to have the presence. I'm not saying that it's going to sell you loads of property, but you have to have that. And actually it works as a whole package, I think.
Yeah, you've got to tick the box. And this is the TikTok box as well. I mean, I gave my son the phone the other day, and I said, have a look at this website. And he got my phone and he went, it's not moving. And I was like, it's a website, Luca. And I said, you've got to touch the top three and the menu will come down. He went, menu?
Yeah.
What? And he's not used to using a website. He's 13. He wants movement. He wants to flick up, down, side, and all that just to see what is interesting to him, and then he'll go and research it. And he will research it on ChatGPT. He won't go to a website or to Safari or to Google or to anything like that. So there is this big move off of a website, I'm finding now. People want this instant. But more so the TikTok, because our social media girl said to me, Mia, we've got to do TikTok. And I'm like, the amount of people that send me TikToks and I click on them and I can't open them because I don't have TikTok. And somebody said to me, thank God you don't, Mia, because that's it. You'd be addicted. You'd never come off it.
Yeah. What do you think, Alfredo? Can you do real estate sales from Instagram?
Of course you can.
But do we know?
Can you sell
it's very difficult.
double glazing from newspaper ads?
Yeah, but
it depends on the price and the double glazing. It's the same
very
thing.
difficult to measure, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I still find.
Isn't that hard? How did you hear from us? Oh, I saw some stuff on Instagram, and then I went and I Googled your name, and then I found you.
If it's a scouring,
I think it's a tool to get you to the end, though.
Most transactions with agents occur, particularly in the high end, multiple
platforms,
multiple touches, right? So maybe they've heard it through recommendations, seen the billboard, Googled some things, opened Essential, and the attribution of that sale will normally be attributed to the last place where they made the physical inquiry, your website or landing page or something like that. But it isn't. I think agents, and I love agents, but I think that you need to stop. They need to stop making excuses for not attributing a sale. How did you hear about us? Did you see us on social? What,
But Alfredo, in your opinion then, what's the biggest mistake people make when they're doing this social media?
They don't know why they're doing it. They're doing it because other people do it.
Right.
That's the biggest mistake.
And what, they haven't got the content right? They haven't got
The biggest mistake on a practical basis is that they are putting all their energies into product, i.e. the properties, in a market that everybody can sell the same product.
Yeah.
So
and maybe not on themselves and their reputation?
nothing else.
Or?
As in, you have three elements, don't you? You have product, which in the UK, for example, where it's one agent listing, that's job done. That's easy. Yeah. Here, I could sell a sold villa property.
Yes.
Right. So you have product, you have the lifestyle, the bit around the product, which certain agencies say like Home Run and a few others really do a lot around the lifestyle as opposed to the product. And then you have the expertise, which is probably more of a Cloud9 thing. And that is way down the funnel. As in, if somebody is going to watch 20 minutes of Golden Visa or something like that, nobody in our immediate world would even watch 30 seconds of that. If those who are about to get one will watch it. So the expertise is what sets you apart from the product. So the biggest mistake I would say is, particularly if we go back to say 6 years, Solvela would pop out a property in Nueva Andalucía with a 59-second video. 1,000 agencies would have that same video on their YouTube and the same picture in all the socials and with the word new listing. And I've been doing this so long that I am seeing things that I think I started still being done.
Yeah, this is the problem.
That's still being done. That ages ago I realized it was a bag of nails and it was no point doing that.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing, just doing it because others are doing it and going, well, they're successful. That's probably why.
This guy's always on to me about just, because we've got cameras on our windscreens in the car, just record some stuff as you're going down the hill 3.5 minutes to the office.
Yeah.
And I think as human beings, believe it or not, I know I'm on screen a lot, but we are naturally quite bashful. And we don't want to be seen like talking about nonsense because we're afraid that people are going to laugh at us.
Yeah.
And say, look at the state of your hair or something like that. And none of us like that. And that's enough for people to go,
No, I'm not.
never again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And particularly, and I don't know if it's a female thing, but a lot of women in our team don't like it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they just don't, because, to them, they're scared stiff about comments on YouTube and stuff like that. And of course, when you've got 60,000 followers as opposed to 600, you are probably going to get a few negative people.
I mean, do you get negative comments on some of your stuff?
We did get
we've had
from
one or two.
the comments on socials.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
right.
we've had one or two. I mean, the thing about comments is, I mean, Alfredo, you've always said this as well. It's not a bad thing to get a few dodgy comments in there, as long as they're justified. Sometimes it might be a bit of trolling, and unfortunately, that's the way of the world now. If you put yourself out there, if you are an agent worrying about it, and you start doing it, and then you start getting comments back, it's perfectly normal and natural to have that.
But it's horrific.
It's horrible.
It's horrible.
It is.
Really?
It hits you
Right.
there, and you think, oh my God, I'm ugly, I'm useless. And it's enough just, go and hide under the duvet for 2 days.
You've got to have a bit of thick skin. And I think from my TV days, we didn't have social media when I started television. We had forums.
Right.
And one of the forums that I stumbled across was absolutely slating the presenters on my channel, including me. Who is this new guy? I hate him. I think he should die. And it's like, somebody hates me. Somebody thinks I should be dead. And then somebody said, leave him alone. He's not bad, but there are better presenters out there. And then another guy said, or somebody else said, what's he wearing? Why has he got spiky hair? And it's quite a, but then there's probably, that's not a true representative of your viewership either.
No.
And actually, for 1,000 comments that you get that are amazing, and you get one that's negative, you'll actually focus on the negative one.
Yeah.
And that's something that we've become a little bit thicker
More
skinned
resilient
as well.
type.
You have
Yeah.
to. You have to.
Yeah.
So I think you have to be thick-skinned.
Yeah.
You have to put yourself out there more.
Yeah.
And, because...
And well, you have to be good at presenting, because there's no point, like Alfredo says, if it's not your bag, don't do it.
Yeah.
It is
Because-
subjective, though, because some presenting that is quite poor has a bit of charisma and character to it that actually kind of works.
Yeah.
I've seen it in America. A lot of the realtors in America, some of them are absolutely barking mad. They would say, "No way," but they've got millions of traction from it. There are some people, though, that you're absolutely right. I've seen more recently that can't put a sentence together. if it's broken English, or if it's just anything that, you know what, I don't know if that's helping the company. If you can't put us in, or if you don't look easy, or if you're just not delivering in a natural way, I think sometimes that can hinder it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I think also with video, so you've got your typical things that people would think of with video. So you've got your walkthrough property tours, you've got your social media, you've got podcasts. But one thing that we've started doing quite a while ago is using video at first point of contact. So we get an inquiry through from Mia.
Yeah.
And rather than just send an email,
Absolutely,
because
I agree.
everybody sends
Yeah.
emails, rather than doing a WhatsApp, because everybody's starting to do WhatsApps now, what we do is we record a video to camera on the
Yeah.
computer, but we make sure that whoever's doing it has got a nice semi-professional setup
Yes.
at home, and we introduce ourselves. Hi, Mia, I'm Sean.
Yeah.
Nice. Thanks for your inquiry. Sorry I haven't been able to get hold of you. Thought I'd send you some information. Blah blah blah. You receive that from me, and you decide whether you like me or not.
And do you send that by WhatsApp? Do you send it by email?
It depends.
Because
It depends.
I-
On email, we've got to stand out, because you know
Yeah.
what it's like. You get 300 emails a day,
exactly, it'll be gone.
and half of those end up in spam because it's a video.
Yeah.
So you've got to be really careful.
Yeah.
But what we have found is that, again, a bit like your YouTube channel, you don't know really who's watching and what they're thinking of you. For sure, some people will think, "Ugh, don't like him," and forget about you. But the ones that do say,
Yeah.
he seems a nice guy, they'll probably get back to you,
Yeah.
and they'll work with you, and they might just buy through you.
Yeah.
And so we found it really useful. But again, members of our team, some of them are great at it, some of them aren't.
Yeah.
So we don't want them doing it.
Yeah.
And you
yeah,
can't
absolutely.
expect them to be good at that either. If their expertise lays in, you know, face-to-face sales and things like that, and market experience.
I mean, I think
etc.
when I look at some of the top people in this industry, they're not, most of them aren't on the camera. Obviously, you're in the top of the industry too, and you are on the camera, but most of them aren't on the camera. And is that because they kind of have a different line of trajectory on where they want that business to go? Or is it because they're older? Is it because, you know, that they're doing all right without it?
Well, let's ask you, because you're not in front of the camera a lot,
No.
yet you've got a great business. So why aren't you fronting it up? Is it fear? Is it
I
the
would
unknown?
say it's the unknown. I feel like I've gone this far, and I feel like I'm very out of my depth with things like Facebook and Instagram. I also don't want to know what everyone's doing, right? I really don't. Like, it annoys my friends to the height of irritation because they all have to WhatsApp me or phone me and tell me what they're doing because I haven't seen it, right? One, I don't care what they're doing. I'm not interested. I'm on my journey and I don't want any deflection. I don't want any interruptions. So that's my main reason. But I feel like I've gone so far down the funnel now, the other way of the funnel, where I am a complete novice. You know, I don't understand it. I like scrolling through Instagram, don't get me wrong. My account is anonymous, which is perfect for me. Yeah.
Oh, so you're like a stalker.
Yeah.
Social stalker.
I don't like anything. I don't. And I've
Netflix will make a documentary about you soon.
honestly, and somebody did some due diligence on me. I hate that word because I can never say it properly. A while ago, and they said, "My God, you are hard to find. You are like invisible." And I said, "Yeah, I'm not on purpose. It's just I've never gone down that road."
That's really interesting because we're about to do business with a guy. I won't say where he's from, but I like what he's proposed to us, but I can't find him.
Yeah, and I bet it's annoying because
It's annoying. And
Yeah.
I'm actually thinking, do you know what? I can't do business with you.
same, and I am that person, and I'm that person.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Alfredo, how important would you say is to have that social footprint, you know, or to be anonymous?
Just me, I need an avatar. Will that sort her out?
She doesn't need it, but I would advise that somebody in her company that she trusts does.
I
You don't
agree.
need, you don't. Not everybody has to be on video.
Yeah.
But you do need a face to
You do
compete.
need a face.
to
I
compete, and
agree
you just
with
need to
you.
put yourself in position with a buyer. So imagine you were buying in Barbados, the example from before, and there's two agents that can both sell the same villa that you're interested in, and one is Sean, and one is AlfredoProperties.com website, no picture, no about us, no footprint,
Yeah,
nothing.
yeah.
He's going to get
I
stuff.
agree
You're
with
without
you
brain.
So-
wholeheartedly,
so
and this
I-
is the annoying
I
thing.
think I think there's a saying which is compete where you can win. So as in not to compete in things, you're just going to lose that battle.
Yeah.
He will lose the battle against Dramelio if he wants to do cinema, movies
Yeah.
out of every video.
Would I lose a battle against
Right?
him? Though?
No, but what I'm saying, so he's very good at being consultative. But the thing you have to do is make sure that the content that you're doing faithfully represents the brand.
Yeah. Or your
Right.
beliefs in your
Yeah,
reputation.
no, exactly. But so if you are a very conservative company, let's
Yes.
say, let's just name names. What the hell? If you're Diana Morales, and then you have a person fronting your videos that's like super wacky and Philippines, and that's not a match to their DNA.
Yeah.
You know, so it just needs to match the DNA of the company.
Yeah.
And
it
that's
needs
why
to
I
match
Darren-
who they're gonna get when they finally see you at the airport or one of your team. That it's representative, because what it does a lot of filtering for you in advance, but it's becoming mass adoption. This is a little bit like having the conversation 10 years ago about videos of properties. I mean, is that a thing? Imagine that conversation 10 years ago, right? And well, I don't think so. People want to see photographs and
Yeah.
And I went to an Idealista conference a year ago, and they were doing the same process of, video is the thing now. Before it was like the online classifieds, and they were trying to convince agents, like, I don't know how many years ago, 15, 20 years ago, to have photographs on the portals of their listings. And all the agents were like, that's ridiculous. We're not photographers.
Yeah.
Classified used to be text, like a paragraph about the house. And it was like, no, this photo thing, it's just, this is never gonna catch
take
up.
off.
And so you kind of have to see, you kind of have to go where things are heading.
Yeah, you have to think ahead.
In a
I
market
agree.
like this, especially, where you can all sell the same product, and it's a second home market, so most of the buyers do not know the area, do not know the buying process. They are going to try and build a relationship with whoever they feel an affinity to in advance.
Yeah.
And so you might be a better fit for them than Sean, but they'll get to know that Sean's a good fit for them, and they'll miss out on it
Yes.
being you. And that's the difference.
Yeah. No, I wholeheartedly agree with this.
But it needs strategy, and you need to, and it's right to ask why. There's too many people doing the kind of job I do, and I used to be guilty of that, of just doing it because other people do it. It's absolutely right as an agent to ask the questions. Do people really buy like this? Is this going to generate leads, or is this something else? I would advise all agents that have all these questions, to whoever they have doing their stuff, just to ask them all those questions. And don't just take, because that's just how the way it is.
Yeah.
It has to make sense to you. If I can't convince you that it makes sense, so it makes sense to you, then maybe I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And I think that includes your own team,
Yeah.
your team, everybody. It's moved towards logical. That's the good news. Was when this whole thing sort of started, it was kind of like nobody really knew what the point was. It was kind of like Facebook. Oh, there's another one. Let's do Twitter. Let's do.
Yeah.
And then nobody really knew. It was kind of like a web footprint, and it was very woolly. And agents were like, I suppose I have to do this. Everybody's telling me I have to do this. Now agents are in the same position again with video, where they're feeling the pressure from everybody saying, I need to be on video, you need to be on video. But I think it's absolutely right for the agent, in this case you, to ask the questions and say, why should I? Does it have to be me?
Well, it's
What's the difference?
More
What can I
my
expect?
question is,
What does it give?
If I had to cut through all the noise, right? Because I find it very noisy, this industry
It
of
is.
social media. If I had only a small amount of time to dedicate to it, I have a company. I've got to go down that road. Okay, shortcut it for me. What can I cut out? What do I need to do?
Don't do anything that you don't see why the point is. Do less of it and do it well.
Yeah.
You don't have to do 3 posts a week because the marketing person told you it has to be 3 posts a week. Why? Says who? And if you do it smartly, like these podcasts, we'll end up getting like 10 reels out of this. Right?
You will, because you'll edit it.
No, but whoever it's actually
yeah.
the marketing team for the LPA that do
Yes.
the reels from this.
Yeah.
And they'll take 5-10 reels out of this
Yeah.
out of one sitting.
Yeah.
And they also use them. We use them.
Your agents use them.
All of a sudden, you're growing your
So out of
audience.
one conversation like this, you're getting a ton of marketing
Yeah.
goods.
Yeah.
And if you had a blog, you could take the transcript from this conversation and put it on your, so that's
goes
more
both.
like it goes into like the in the way you do it, it has to be efficient.
This is the distribution, isn't it?
It comes back to distribution. How are you going to cut it up?
Right.
It has to be useful or entertaining or inspiring or a combination of those 3 things. And if it doesn't tick any of those things, just don't do it.
Yeah. Forget it.
This sort of, and I would say, unless you have an exclusive, do half the posts that you're doing and put a little bit of money behind each post to reach people, so it reaches more people. That's the thing. Particularly with video, there's really too many agencies doing fabulous videos, and nobody's seeing them. I had the pleasure of going to one of his courses before he joined the dark side of real estate, and
Yes,
one of the coolest tips that he has for people
Please tell
is
us.
it's called the RBF.
Oh yes, yeah.
Tell about the RBF.
Yeah,
when on camera.
the resting bitch face. Have you
Oh,
heard
I've
about that?
got one of those.
I haven't heard about it. I've probably been
Well,
called
this
it.
is one of our Alfred had picked up on this, and one of the biggest things he learned, because quite often on video, some of the first things that go under pressure is what we're doing with one of the most important things of body language, is the face.
Right.
And a lot of people are so hell bent on actually thinking about what they're doing, thinking about the words, that all of a sudden the muscles go on the face and we start looking very serious. And we relax our face.
Right.
We call it the RBF, the resting bitch face. Smiling is so important when we're in front of the camera. If you smile, lifts the cheekbones, makes you more engaging, connects you with the viewer. So yeah, big bit of advice there, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was great.
If you're ever in front of the camera, if you're feeling nervous, uneasy, remember people are making assumptions within seconds of what
Wow.
you look like.
Great.
And if they feel that they're not happy watching you, they're going to switch off, switch over, and not buy into you. So, and doing that, a smile is so important.
Yeah, yeah.
Just a smile on the face.
And there is one more tip that we can
Go
give
on.
to the viewers that came from you, which is I forgot.
Right. What you mean? Okay, when you're in front of the camera, there is a
Lovely.
tendency for us
I
to
got it.
say, everybody, all of you watching, ladies and gentlemen,
Oh, I do that.
the viewer wants to feel that you are talking to them
Right.
because they're watching you singularly. And it's a very different energy and a mindset that we give ourselves when we're, if you can imagine, when I first went on TV, I was used to presenting in front of thousands of people on the cruise ships, entertainment. When I went to TV, it was one person watching, technically,
Yeah.
because they're in the living room, having a cup of tea,
yeah.
glass of wine, doing the ironing, whatever. And they want to feel that you're just talking to them. If I come out and said, hello, welcome to the show, everyone, all of a sudden they're going, well, it's just me here. So you lose that intimacy.
Right.
And that's a big thing that gets lost. And it's not the end of the world, but actually, if you're trying to build a rapport with somebody, we don't want to talk at them. We want to talk to them. By talking to them individually, singularly, they feel that you're kind of connecting in a deeper level. And that is a big thing, massive thing for presenting.
The other one I remembered.
Jeez.
He's on fire. Let's go.
Because it's so useful, and that is that the way you explained that when you practice learning to be on camera is that you're not learning to be on camera, you're learning to be yourself on camera, isn't it?
Wow.
As in, because you're
Yeah.
talking to a,
You've got to be you. The key thing is no one is you. A lot of people get in front of the camera, they become presenters. It's the worst thing you can do.
Yeah.
People buy from people. You are unique, and it's okay to show yourself. And actually, people will build. I mean, Sean's a master of that. I mean, he'll just come on and tell you what's not, and people love that. You know, it's.
I mean, you
Sorry, I
are
haven't
super
read
real.
this.
No, he's super real. But also, Sean's on the, like, I sometimes with you, you're on the edge of like controversy, aren't you? Because you don't mind. No, I can say it.
It's great.
As a friend, you don't mind stirring the pot a little bit to just see what comes out from it. And that's quite a brave move, right? And actually, if I did that, and we've got a podcast coming up about this, if I did that as a woman in business, all hell would break loose. But he goes and does it, and it's like, well, yeah, I like watching that guy. You know, it's very interesting.
Piers Morgan of real estate.
Oh,
A little bit.
yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, no, maybe not. But
But yeah, listen, again, we could just go on and on and on, but it is so fascinating. Thank you so much,
that's a
Dan,
pleasure.
for
It's
all
really
your
good to be here.
professional
It's really-
tips.
No, it's great.
Sean for selling properties via Instagram. Oh my God, big tick, blue tick, shall I say? And Alfredo for your unrivaled advice. It's just amazing. And I feel like I've had a great big lesson here today. So thank you. The next time I go on camera, and you could have told me all this before I started this, by the way. The next time I go on camera, I will go with all of your tips. It's been absolutely super helpful. And I know that our one viewer
That's all it
will
takes.
love listening and watching this. So thank you so much, everybody.
You're welcome.